Ouch. At the time of recording, Donald Trump is in the middle of his latest disastrous press conference, and stunning new evidence of his cognitive decline and stupidity and dishonesty were on full display, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, this is one of those press conferences that's going to deliver a number of viral clips, perhaps even dozens. But I want to start, we have several to look at, but I want to start with this one here because in some ways it's the most alarming because it's stunning new evidence of Donald Trump's increasing cognitive decline. So it's going to sound, when you watch this clip, you're going to be thinking to yourself, well, there was a glitch, like a literal technical glitch or something. But I assure you, it's not.
We're going to bring back our supply chains to stop costly supply chain disruptions. We have tremendous disruptions. I have it all the time, and I think you do too. We order things, and I keep saying, well, when's it getting here? Sir, there's a supply chain disruption. And I mean, you end up getting stuff like 3 months late now. I don't know, all these geniuses over here, I think we can say that. I'm not sure that you're necessarily as much into it, but they are. And I will say that very often, we have problems with supply chains where I'm waiting for things for weeks and weeks. And I say, by the way, whatever happened to it? Supply chain, sir, it's not coming in. And
that wasn't a glitch. That was not a technical glitch. That may have been a brain glitch, and one of many, one of an increasing number that Donald Trump is exhibiting. But yes, at the 13-second mark or so, he talks about this rambling anecdote, sometimes I'm waiting for things and I'm like, didn't we order these things? Where are they? Sir, it's supply chains. And then 20 seconds later, gives the same anecdote nearly word for word, a 20-second span, because he totally lost his train of thought. He totally forgot where he was. Folks, this is stunning. I pointed this out on Twitter, and I try to troll Piers Morgan when and where I can. He'll eventually take the bait, I'm confident. But, Piers and other enlightened centrists and conservatives who attacked President Biden for his perceived mental unfitness and demanded that he step down, are they stepping up to call Trump out for this? As I said on Twitter, Piers Morgan, thoughts? Your BFF Trump is the oldest presidential candidate in history, and a majority of Americans think he's too old, too unhealthy, and too mentally deficient to be president. Will you call on him to stand down? This is from a recent Morning Consult poll. Only 48% of Americans believe that Donald Trump is mentally fit to be president. A majority believe, and not the first poll, but a majority of Americans consistently believe that he is not mentally fit to be president, that he's too old, that he's too physically and mentally unhealthy, compared to 64% who believe that Vice President Harris is mentally fit to be president. So by their logic, by the concern trolls who say, this person, Biden's too old and too mentally deficient, even if I agreed with his policies, any responsible American has to support somebody who's able to discharge the duties of the presidency. Well, the evidence is mounting that Donald Trump isn't. So even if you think, the vice president is too woke or too whatever, then by your own logic, you should be not only publicly supporting her, but you should also be demanding that Donald Trump step down. I wonder if these consistent, principled nonpartisans and centrists will actually follow through with that. I doubt it, because they're just shy Republicans. Progressive commentator Mehdi Hasan also commented, his brain is broken. His mental health is gone. He is too old to be president. Watch him at 13 and 35 seconds in. He repeats himself just like a freak. The media that insisted Biden stand down should be insisting Trump stand down too. This is crazy. And indeed it is, but it's yet further proof of the double standard imposed on Democrats compared to Republicans. The American political system, be it by way of the Electoral College, gerrymandering, a 6-3 conservative supermajority in the Supreme Court, and just the media landscape, the American political system is affirmative action for Republicans in the sense that they're just graded on a curve. They can't compete in terms of the same standards, in terms of the same scrutiny. So they have to be given an artificial leg up. And Donald Trump's, just blatant deterioration, ever increasing, is further proof of that. There should be op-ed after op-ed after op-ed after op-ed, not just in mainstream media, but also in right-wing media, demanding that this guy stand down for the sake of his loved ones, for the sake of his party, and for the sake of the country that he is trying to run. But there was also further evidence of Donald Trump's stupidity on full display, not just his cognitive decline. We're going to play this clip here. It's about 2 minutes long. He was asked, hey, listen, your campaign sucks at the moment. It's in total free fall and disaster. Reportedly, your advisors are begging you to stay on discipline or stay disciplined and stay on message. What do you say to that? And Trump just doubles down.
Many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today. Yeah. Is that a sign of a shifting strategy?
No, I think it's a sign of we want to close it out. We have great people. Susie is fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic. They're leading it. Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be, personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job. Look, we've taken, with all of the abuse we've taken from the fake news media, all of this horrific abuse we take, and all I want to do is make the country great. All I want to do is have strong borders and good education. We want to have choice for education. So important, so many different things. You would think it would be the other way. We rebuilt the military. We did so many great things. But that's the way it's been for Republicans, and I guess more so for me than anybody in history, and that's okay, because we're leading in the polls. For the most part, we're leading in the polls. We were leading Biden by a lot. We're leading now, but I think when she's exposed, I think we're going to beat her by a lot more than we would have beaten Biden by, because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time. She doesn't have that. People don't know who she is. As far as the personal attacks, her, because of what she's done to the country. I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence. And I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a...
You are, and you're doing nothing to beat those allegations, Donald. So yeah, a lot of stupid things said there. Again, he's just doubling down on the strategy, which is failing him, which is tightening the race between him and the vice president, who is beating him overall, at least as of this moment, in terms of polling, fundraising, polling nationally, polling in swing states. It's entirely possible for him to win, but the current trajectory doesn't favor him, and certainly the current strategy doesn't, which is why so many Republicans, so many MAGA Republicans in elected office and elsewhere are publicly begging him to be anything other than what he is. But he can't help himself. A lot of stupid stuff. Other clips I just want to play here again. So many viral clips, but just as a reminder, he talks about the Supreme Court and how the right-wing Supreme Court granted him, a watered-down version of the British sovereign immunity.
Interference. And as you know, the Supreme Court ruled recently on immunity, and I'm immune from all of this stuff that they charged me with.
So the Supreme Court, at least in theory, didn't say that. They've effectively, I think, in so many ways, just totally undermined the case against Trump. But they didn't write down Trump is literally immune from everything. You can't charge him ever. They dressed it up in legalese and effectively raised the burden for prosecuting a former president to just stratospherically ridiculous heights. But Donald Trump, he's making all these allegations about how the Justice Department's being weaponized against him. Maybe he's just a uniquely criminal president. We've provided evidence in previous videos about how President Biden's Justice Department, the Justice Department of the Biden-Harris administration, has gone after as many Democrats as Republicans. They've investigated President Biden. They investigated, prosecuted, and successfully convicted President Biden's only living son, whom Biden could have spared by way of a pardon or by firing the U.S. attorney investigating his son. So many ways for Biden to have snapped his fingers and made all this go away, but he didn't. Henry Cuellar, a Democratic congressman from Texas, Bob Menendez, a Democratic senator who was investigated, charged, and successfully convicted on corruption charges. And of course, the Justice Department bent over backwards to accommodate Donald Trump because Merrick Garland, unfortunately, is just a bit too feckless for my money. And one of the best things about the Biden-Harris administration, a subsequent Harris administration, should she win the election, is she will presumably fire Merrick Garland and get someone more aggressive, somebody with a better prosecutorial mindset. But of course, Donald Trump is just completely bananas when he's talking about these things. And also, why on earth do people celebrate the notion of presidential immunity? It's really gross and un-American and anti-patriotic. If you really want a monarch, move to England, move to Great Britain. They still have a monarch who is technically above the law because he's given sovereign immunity. America was founded on this notion that no one is above the law, even the president of the United States, and MAGA Republicans are desperate to reverse that. One other weird comment from Donald Trump at this press conference.
And you're not going to be allowed. You're all going to be thrown into a communist system. It's a communist system. You're going to be thrown into a system where everybody gets health care.
Yeah, so listen, I'm not a fan of communism, but I don't know if that's the sales pitch you want to go with. Number one, I mean, they say that everybody's a communist. If you oppose a Republican on anything, like if they like vanilla ice cream and you like chocolate, you're a communist, right? That's been just a staple of Republican rhetoric since the Rush Limbaugh days. It's ridiculous, stupid. We should viciously make fun of them. Hopefully you're doing that because it's the rhetoric of a pathetic loser. But they've been saying that for years and decades about everybody. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Joe Manchin's a communist, right? Kyrsten Sinema's a communist. But that part about, it's so awful, everybody's going to get health care. What? Is that really what you want to go with? That's not bad at all. That's great. Healthcare is a human right. I don't know if that's, I don't know if you should pitch that as communism, right? And I don't think that everybody having healthcare is communism, and you don't want to associate those two ideas. It'll probably just make communism much more attractive, particularly to Gen Z and subsequent generations. Does he understand what communism is? Very stupid stuff, very dishonest stuff, and very cognitively deficient stuff from the cult leader of the Republican Party, the Republican Party's nominee to be president of the United States. More people should be talking about this. Let's make it go viral and continue to press the vice president's advantage by exposing relentlessly how stupid, dishonest, corrupt, and cognitively unfit Donald Trump really is. And let's bask in their despair. Let me know what you think in the comments.